I'm going to show you how to get free gold. On computer parts like this and like this, many of them have gold plating on them. This is real 24 karat gold. And you can get it today with just some simple tools. So this board right here is from an iPod. And these are RAM chips. So first what we need is a big beaker. So you see this board, it's got some gold plated pins there. It's got some gold traces here. And it's got some gold connectors. Now this chip actually has gold in it, but we're not going to do that today. But what we're going to do is we're just going to put this whole thing in the beaker and put it in the acid the way it is. These RAM sticks still have a little gold left on them, so I'm just going to put them in the beaker along with the crumbs. Right here I have what's called gold fingers, and this is gold plating. And we're just going to break them off so they look like this, and we're going to put that in the beaker. So all I'm going to do is take these pliers and I'm going to break this off just like that. And now there's the gold fingers. So I'm actually going to take off this piece of aluminum right here. And don't cut yourself because this stuff is sharp. But once you take this off, you can actually stick this whole thing in there. See this gold plating right here? And there's a little more here. All right, so now I got that off. Now, these chips are going to be unaffected by the acid, but you see these have a little bit of gold in them too. So again, go straight in that. These cameras are from like cell phones. They all have gold on them, and even this camera lens has gold. Again, straighten the acid. You don't want to put this piece of metal in the acid because it will mess with your solution. So you better take that off if you want to put this whole thing in there. But again, I'm just going to remove the gold fingers and it will go in the acid like this. And I'm going to do this side too. So now I got my pile of parts, and now all of this will go straight in the acid. So the fiberglass and the plastic will be unaffected, and the gold will float, and that will allow me to get it out of the beaker. If you look closely, this connector has gold plating on it. So next, these hard drive connectors, I'm just going to break them off like I did with the gold fingers. See? And the plastic again will be unaffected by the acid, and we're just going to stick it in there like that. I actually missed a few pins. Just going to break those off and put those in the acid too. These chips have really good gold wires in them, but we're going to process those in a different video. And actually, if you look right here, this has gold pins. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rip that off too. There we go, just like that. Oh. And again, in the acid. So here's what the pins look like. They just came out of the connector. And I'm just going to break them off and put them into the acid. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just grab them with this and just, there we go, and into the acid. Here's another look at one of the connectors from a hard drive. So you can see this has gold pins also. Now, the good thing about putting this whole card in there is it's going to remove everything off this board. But I don't want to waste acid, so I'm not going to do that. I had some gold stuff from before, so let's put that in there. So this is a mixture of gold pins and just junk from depopulating boards. So guess what? I'm going to take that out, but all of this is going to go right in the acid. Just like that. Everything's going to go in the acid because the gold will float on top. This junk I don't want to put in the acid. It's all aluminum and it's just going to eat the acid. And I got my IC chips and BGAs for later. I've been saving this stuff up. So this is gold pins from connectors, and I thought they were from CPUs also. Again, we're just going to put this in the acid though. So these are gold ribbon cables, and this is from a cell phone board. And so I've been collecting this stuff, and I'm going to put that in the acid with the rest of this stuff too. This is 24 karat gold plating from a cell phone board. And then you see the gold ribbons. So I got some SD cards here. There's no use for a 250 meg or a 2 gig card anymore. So they have actually pretty good gold plating on them. So we're going to put those in the acid too. Alright, so lastly, I've got some gold pins here. And this is just random gold pins. Here's a CPU slot. This is from connectors. And we're going to put these in the acid too. Alright, so we're just going to pour it in. And now let's see, how much do you think I'm going to get? Here's a better look at my material. I'm just showing you all the different kinds of places to get gold. Free gold. All of this stuff was in the garbage. That's why it's free gold. Alright, next we're going to use just a little bit of this. We're going to make sure to cover it up. And we're going to put this thing outside. Look at it bubbling. It's taking care of that tin. Look at it work. Alright, now we need some of this. This is going to speed up the reaction, and it's going to make it dissolve the copper and not just the tin. Here's how it looks now. You see it reacting. And now I'm going to add about 30% peroxide into it. Now it's going to start reacting, and it's going to dissolve the copper. Alright, it's the next day, and this is my solution. You can tell that it's worked because the green is the copper that it dissolved. We can stir it, and we'll be able to see the gold flakes. You can already see some of the gold on the top. You see that? So, but what I want to do is I want to heat this up, and yeah, you can see some of the gold floating on the top. What I'm going to do is I'm going to heat this up, and it's going to dissolve the copper much faster. There's a flake of gold right there, more, and there's more. You can see the gold on the bottom. Alright, so we're just going to turn this on low, and we're going to boil this for a little while and get the copper dissolved. Alright, so this has been boiling, and I think I got all of the base metal taken care of. So now what I'm going to do is we're going to dissolve the gold. A little bit of floating gold, but we're going to pour off this liquid, and then I'm going to replenish it with some new stuff. I would show you all the gold that's in here, but I don't want it to be in my liquid. This is my waste solution, and I'm going to just let this filter this and put it in my stock. A lot of this black stuff is actually silver, and so that's not going to dissolve. We're just going to filter that out. Alright, so here's my gold. Now it's time to collect it. So we're going to start with a little bit of this, and we're just going to pour it in. I got rid of the base metal already, so now I just need to dissolve the gold. Not much left in here, but let's give it a try.
right, let's see. That's how you know it's good. See it bubble. Make sure that you cover it up and let it.
It's actually the chlorine gas that dissolves the gold.
All right, you can see a little bit of gas in there. Let's see. Oh, not much. I can smell it though.
The good thing about the acid and bleach method is it creates its own heat. So you don't have to heat it. It just reacts on its own and it will work without heat.
Look at that, it's still foamed up, but you can see it's got plenty of gas in there. Be careful adding too much bleach at a time because it might overflow. That green means there's still some base metal in there, but I think there's a good amount of gold in there, so we'll see when we test. All right, it's all done. I filtered my solution. Here it is. Here is some pieces. You can see there's no more gold there, here, and there's no more metal in there. Actually, it looks like there's some floating in there, but we'll deal with that in a second. Let's test this and see if there's gold. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this down, and I'm going to use some of the solution. I'm just going to put this in there. I'm going to take a little bit of the solution and put it right here. This little drop. Okay. And then I'm going to put a little bit of my testing solution right here. This is tin chloride, and if there's gold in the solution, then it will turn black. And I do not see any color change, so there may not be any gold in it. This actually might be my gold. So I've noticed that if there's too much base metal in the solution, it won't dissolve the gold because it dissolves copper first. So you can see there's still gold here, gold flakes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try this again and try to dissolve the gold. And you can see a little purple right there, which means there is some gold in it. All right, let's try this again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this stuff out. You see, all of this is pretty clean. So it stripped the gold. It's just, there's lots of little flakes in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dump it all into here. I'm going to get rid of all the big stuff. So I see a little bit of gold in here, but I think there just wasn't much gold in the beginning. So it's just not going to be a lot in the end. Alright, so there's a small amount of gold on this stuff, but too little to go after. I'm going to throw all this stuff away and I'm going to process this liquid instead, okay? I think the black powder that's in here is actually my gold. It has plated out on the copper and the base metal that's still in there. So we're going to process this powder instead of this stuff. Alright, we're just going to toss this in the bin. Let's see, there might be some gold flakes here at the bottom. Yeah, there's some gold flakes at the bottom. You can see it didn't dissolve the gold, it just released it. Yeah, there's a lot of gold flakes in there. So we're going to process this stuff again. So in this case, I'm just going to pour it all in here. And there's already some gold sediment in the bottom. And I'm just going to process all of it. I'm thinking all this black stuff is gold. And I guess I'll process that tomorrow. Alright, I drained all of my waste solution. Here is the black mud. Most of this is precious metals. Some of it's copper. And now I'm going to filter it. Alright, let's try this again. Here is the gold mud. You can see a little piece of gold in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to boil this in hydrochloric acid and get rid of any base metal. And then when I dissolve the gold, it will stay dissolved. Alright, so we're just going to drop it in the beaker. We're going to pour some acid in. Or let this cook for a little while. Just going to cook it on low. Alright, I always cover it up. Alright, I boiled this in hydrochloric acid. All that's left should be precious metals. Let's see how much gold's in it. Here's another look. You can see some gold in the bottom. Alright, I got a bucket with a lid. And I'm going to take my gold mud. and I'm just gonna dump it in there. There we go. Okay. And here's my old solution. The old solution is gonna go into my stock pot. And it's good. All right, here's my gold mud. You can see a little bit of gold down there.
All right, we need two things, hydrochloric acid and bleach.
So now I'm gonna fill this up just enough to cover the gold. And that's probably even too much. Now we need just a little bit of bleach, and that's how you know it's good. So now you cover it up, make sure it's secure. All right, let's try this again. So I'm gonna get some on here. All right, I got my solution. Let's test it. Oh yeah, look at that. We got some precious metal.
All right, it's time to release the gold.
Here's my solution. I think there's a lot of tin in it. All right, let's pour in this exact amount. All right, you see the color change? It's lightening up. Let's stir it a little bit. It'll turn brown when it's gonna drop the gold. All right, it started to drop. Let's see if there's any gold at the bottom. Maybe. I won't know until I let it sit for a little while longer. So I'll keep you up to date. All right, it's time to filter this. You can't see the gold because it's a dirty solution, but once I filter it, you'll see it.
Here's some of the liquid. I'm just gonna pour this in my stock pot.
You can see the gold down in there. A little bit of it is going in the filter, but most of it's down there.
Here's another look at it. Here's another look at it. And put it in the filter and refine it. All right, and here's my gold. Here it is again. Not a ton of gold, so I'm just gonna refine it with the rest of my gold.